Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And I am excited that you're here. And I'm also excited to introduce to you my guest today, Mike Tobey. Now, Mike has been in ministry for over 40 years. He serving as a pastor, teacher, author, and motivational speaker. He is also executive director of the Heaven Guy Ministry. Mike, thank you so much for joining me and being my guest today.
Yes, ma'am. It's so good to be on your call today, Janet. It's an honor.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, if you will, please share with us what has God given you to do in this season, and how is faith helping you do it, Mike?
Well, I'll tell you. If it's all right with you, let me just kind of share this more in a story format.
Absolutely,
Some have
please.
said
Yes,
God's He's the great storyteller, and that's what the Bible
He
is, right?
is.
It's God's great stories. So let me do that. I'll start off with my marriage, if that's okay. I have
Yes,
shared with you,
yes.
privately. I have had the most wonderful, beautiful marriage that we'd be here all day just talking
Mm,
about
yes.
my wife. And this is her right here, if that's okay to just show the
Uh-huh.
viewers. This is my precious lady. And
She's
you may be
beautiful.
wondering where that name came from. Heaven guy, where did you get that? Well, my precious wife was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer back in January of 2019. And obviously,
Um,
that was a difficult uh, season. It lasted a little over 8 months. And she went on to heaven in October of that year. We're right at the 4.5 year mark right now. And I couldn't feel, I'm just as close to her now as I was then. And she's in my heart. And I know that at least in some capacity, scripture's not real clear on that, but at
mhm.
least I like to believe that she was my best friend here. And I'd like to think she's going to be my best friend, in heaven. So I'll start off
Absolutely.
with that. I wish I had more time to talk about the marriage, because everything I'm going to share with you is coming out of that relationship with her. So the story kind of goes like this, I guess, that the first few months after she was diagnosed, you can imagine, we were in the Word every day, prayer, and just everything you can imagine to deal with that
Mhm.
diagnosis. And at about the halfway mark, I remembered that I had this book by Randy Alcorn called Heaven. Some of you, the viewers, I'm sure, have heard of it. Some have probably read the book. Great
Mhm.
book. And I began to read that book to her every day. Well, that got to be the thing. I mean, she once or twice a day, Mike, can you read me out of the heaven book? I would
That's
come in the
wonderful.
room sometimes, and there she'd be this, almost like somebody getting ready to go on a long journey, and they're reading the travel brochure. That was her getting ready. And so moving forward, about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, was actually her last day in the hospital. And fortunately, I had the sense to put my phone on on the hospital bed there and record. And I said, "Honey, if the Lord takes you home, which it looks like He may, what do you want me to do?" And she didn't even flinch. And she said, "Michael, I want you to do everything possible to bring as many as you can to heaven." And of course, I've
Mm.
replayed that 1,000 times, I'm sure. And so,
Wow.
of course, 2.5 weeks, got home that day, and then a couple, 2 weeks later, just a couple days before she passed, her last, I guess you would just say, activity. I mean, her body hadn't moved in a couple days. She hadn't seen me in several days visually. She couldn't see, but she, with her mouth in front of me and the nurse, she mouthed, "I love you" 3 times to me. And
Wow.
then she passed away the next day. So the last thing, you know, y'all going to get me to cry, and I'm doing an interview here. I
Oh my
still
goodness.
have,
I'm going to
there's still
cry with
emotion
you.
there. I know
I
it.
know.
So
I know.
apologize for that. But
Oh, no, no.
I,
No
I just,
apology.
I just adore,
Oh,
I
you're
adore my
fine.
wife. And so
Yeah.
it wasn't until 14 months later, when I was on my way to see my daughter for Christmas and son-in-law and grandkids up in Georgia, that I had a 9-hour drive, and I was playing these recordings that I had of her. Well, there it is. I came across that recording where she said, "Everything possible." And I thought,
Wow.
well, how do you even do that? What is that? I've been a pastor, done world missions, I've done all kinds of other things. I thought,
Oh,
is that it? So through all of that, on that drive, it wasn't a vision, but it was a very clear picture in my mind. And I saw myself sitting in front of the television as a kid watching The Wonderful World of Disney. Some of you are old enough to remember that on Sunday
yes.
evenings. And I saw this, and this it's and the it what I think happened was the Holy Spirit took that those images and kind of connected it with her last wishes for me, and in my mind, and I thought, oh, I wonder if anyone has ever created an animated salvation video that would actually lead people to Christ. Would people even
Wow.
watch that? Would they even pray with that? And I wasn't thinking Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. I was thinking high level virtual. And
Right.
so, kind of fast forward about 3 months later, uh, I ended up with a brother, an associate pastor in Connecticut, Kevin McDonald, who used to work with Pixar. And some of you are familiar with Pixar.
Yes.
Shared
Yeah.
with him what I was thinking. Well, he's brilliant, man. Came up with the idea, and he said, "Look, let's create a prototype with real people. I'll get students from the international department at University of Connecticut, and
Wow.
you write the script." So I wrote a 3-minute salvation, gospel message script.
Hmm.
Each one of 12 students from 12 different countries, 5 different continents. You'll see the little flag on the video for each country. And they shared the gospel in those 3 minutes. He edited it. It's really beautiful how he did it. I come on about halfway through, and I'm looking at the viewer, and I just say, if those words that you just heard touch your heart, and you believe you believe them to be true, and you're ready to commit the rest of your life to God, I'd like you to pray with me right now. So I bow my head, and then he put video images up that kind of match my prayer, and
Right.
for whatever it is, maybe half or so. And I'm down in South Florida with fishing shirt on, palm trees, seagulls flying by, water behind me, and then it
Yeah.
shifts from me in Florida to him in Connecticut with big white snowflakes coming down. It's
Wow.
opposite. It's the coolest thing. And he
Yes.
just arms out, spontaneous, and he says, "Hey, if you just prayed that prayer from the heart, welcome to the family." And it's the coolest thing.
Wow.
6 minutes long. And by the way, the viewers can see that at theheavenguy.org. Theheavenguy.org. You can watch that
Yes.
video.
And I
So,
will show
so
that.
here's
I'll
what
show
happened
that.
after we did the video. Great. After we created it, we needed to host it. So we got some web designers, created a beautiful website, put it on there, and then we
Yep.
needed to, how are we going to get this out? So by the grace of God, we got a tremendous ad grant from Google, and we got another big one from Microsoft. And believe it or
Oh,
not, those two
wonderful.
platforms have helped us bring thousands and thousands and thousands of people
Wow.
to Christ. I looked this
I
morning, we just went
love
over
that.
6,600 decisions for Christ, and we've had
Mm.
over 160,000 visitors worldwide. And we are now in
Wow.
188 countries. territories. So
188 countries. I
God was
love
took by,
that.
isn't that beautiful? He took
It's
her wishes
beautiful.
and fulfilling them every day. And so that's kind of the story. I'll just kind of share one last thing that we had a our motto. I think you're going to really like this. And those of you that know the word are going to really like this. But you remember in Luke, Janet, you remember in Luke 15 where Jesus tells the parables of the shepherd with 100 sheep, and the woman that had lost the 10 coins, and the prodigal son, of course.
Right.
Well, what is exciting from a heavenly perspective, what is exciting is Jesus gives us a little glimpse of what happens in heaven every time somebody comes to Christ. He said there's rejoicing in the presence of the angels,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yes,
So
rejoicing.
I love it. So our motto is keeping heaven rejoicing 24/7.
Oh, I
Because
love
our
that.
video, in
Yes.
fact,
That's amazing.
our
Yeah, I
videos live.
love that.
It is our videos live 24/7. So while you and I are sleeping, there's somebody over in Brussels, Belgium, giving their life to Christ from that
Wow.
video. So
Wow.
that's Janet. That's really the story. If
That's a
anyone
beautiful
again would like
story,
to
Mike.
thank you, Annalie.
Beautiful
Oh, and one
story.
more thing, we
Get your
created
card. Yes.
these
The
little
heaven
heaven
cards.
cards. We've
Yes.
got they're called heaven cards. 20-something we have designs, and they're plastic. They're just like a credit card. The company that makes them
Yep.
makes gift cards. They're shiny. They're hard plastic. Here's an example of
Yes.
one. Jesus
Uh-huh.
loves you, no matter what you've done. And you'll see the QR code on the back.
That's the
That takes
truth.
them
That's
to
great.
there's a
And
paradise card. That takes them to
yes.
the video.
Yes. Overcomes. Yes.
They can get those
Awesome.
on the website. They go to theheavenguide.org, and they can go to theheavenguide.org and actually order those if they'd like to.
And Mike, I've got a couple of them here that I can show. You are not alone. And then on the back, when you go through deep waters, I will be with you. Isaiah 43:2. And that is beautiful, just beautiful, and so true. I'll show you one more. How much are you worth? God says you're worth the death of his son. And of course, that's John 3:16. Beautiful, beautifully done. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Mike. What a beautiful story you have, and what a great tribute to her. Because it's just everlasting. It just keeps
It
going
is.
on. So, oh my
It
goodness,
is.
thank you for coming to share that with me. And I do want to put up some information for folks, and of course, the heavenguide.org, and that is a website. And then if you would like to connect with Mike, you can do so through his email, mike@theheavenguide.org. I love that. The Heaven Guide. That is just great. That's wonderful. Oh, man. Well, thank you again,
Well,
Mike, for joining me today, and what with that your story and the website. It's just beautiful, and thank you. Appreciate you being
thank you,
here.
Janet. It's
Yeah,
been a pleasure, and I wish I had the opportunity to meet every one of the viewers personally, but we'll do that in heaven, okay?
that's right. That's right. That's right. And thank you all for watching. I would like to give a shout out to Abundant TV Network. It's a great network for you and your family. And remember, friends, have faith and look up where our help comes from. Bye. God bless.